All righty, it is 5:30. I will call the meeting to order. I'll start with roll call. Alder Bellinger here. Alder Ramey
Here.
Alder Peterson
Here.
Alder Rust
Present.
and Alder Decker is here. So we will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Just have one. Jim, are you okay if we skip the introductions or do you want to meet everybody?
I think I know most of the people here, so.
So we can skip introductions? Okay. Okay, great. Then we'll do that. Thank you. Okay, move on to number 5, approval of minutes from January 14th.
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. That is approved. All right, number 6, resolution number 149-2425, a resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to enter into a contract with Casek Roofing Incorporated for roof replacement at the City of Sheboygan Municipal Service Building.
Travis, you want to do those?
Who's the-
Just kidding.
Who wants?
So I do have Jimmy John's right? Because I want to do a long presentation. I'm just. So for the roof replacement, we've been really kicking this roof, the MSB roof down the road since about 2016.
Okay.
Dee might remember,
Yes.
John might know from a long time ago when we did a full assessment of all the roofs in the city of Sheboygan. And in 2016, our roof was already in the red. Because of the price tag on it, which it's a large price tag, it's a lot to bite off. The reason that's the reason it was kind of just pushed aside. It's an easy $2 million job just to kind of push off for years. It's at the point where we don't want it to get more expensive because of the insulation that's underneath, and that's the price. That roof is approximately 38 years old, so this is only the second roof on the building, and it's in dire need. So it's over 3/4 of the building that's going to get replaced. So it's 98,000 a little over 98,000 square feet compared to the overall 122,000 square feet that we currently have. The part that you see in white, if you scroll down and then look out at more of a Google shot or whatever. So basically the roof above our heads right now will not be replaced. That's about 17 years old, and we're going to get another good 10 years out of this one. So,
Okay.
I guess all we're looking for is approval to move forward with this facility. The good thing about that is we were actually contracting with the same contractor that's doing a library.
Okay.
They will be, if once this approval goes through, Public Works, Common Council, they will actually be starting on DPW's roof first because this is the longest. Ours is not the most technical. The library is actually a more technical roof to do versus our roof. But this is probably a good solid 3 months. And they'll break that into sections as you see the 4 sections, actually 5. So you'll see the main garage and then the section over motor vehicle, which jots down to the bottom. And the white part, if you want to call it the white part, that's where we're kind of sitting right now. So, any questions?
Okay. I'm going to open this up to questions to alders, and then Jim would like to speak after. So, okay. Okay.
Do they meet RBO? The
RBO.
contract responsible bidder ordinance?
Yes, everything's going through burn. Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I guess on the back side of that a little bit. So there's another little portion that you will see coming. It's going out to bid right now for the mechanicals, meaning the mechanicals are for exhaust fans over the main roof and over motor vehicle. Those will get redone. CO2 detectors, and this will all be hooked up into our current building automation system. So this will all be viewable for my maintenance guys to maintain. It's going to bring it into the 20th century versus from 1966. So
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Is the building gonna, I mean,
I know what you're asking.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we're the third oldest building.
Mhm.
As I've talked to other alders and stuff like that, prior to this and previous. You're looking at, to replace this building, you're looking at probably 30 million plus. To chew off that with looking at a new fire department coming up and possibly, fire station 2 looking into the future, because of, the gender neutral and everything. Station 2 really is not really a gender neutral fire station right now. And kind of looking at probably in 27, 28, or whatever that forecast looks like. You know as well as I do, we're not, look at the municipal service building. That's a big chunk of money. We do have plans out there for it. We've several years ago, David and myself, we did hire an architect to look at what this would look like. And to combine, actually, I don't want to get off the road here, but to look at bringing transit down here too, making one huge facility on the same piece of property, but also keeping this building functional. And as we rebuild, but yeah, you're actually going to look at well over, 27, $30 million at that point in time. But I could see maybe 10 years from now.
Okay.
We'll see.
So this will buy some time.
This will definitely buy some time. Like I said, and I'm very comfortable with the roof that we have above our heads right now for at least good another solid 10 years. During good maintenance, which we do, we're pretty good stewards on that part. So the roof that we currently have, which needs to be replaced, it's in dire needs right now. So, but yes, the biggest concern is, the building itself. Our building is a good structure. We are looking at doing small improvements. We do every year, just to kind of keep it up to date. So,
Okay.
Questions? I have a couple myself also. Is this currently a built-up roof that's on here?
correct.
And
that's what we're
replacing with a built-up?
Yeah. So you're looking at probably a good another 30 years on
Okay,
it.
then think about maybe a rubber roof instead. Having dealt with built-up roofs, I'm not a fan of them. Let's put it that way.
The current roof is built up,
Okay.
and that's 38. It's probably the most expensive roof, but the most longevity out of it.
Okay.
So that's what we got for our consultant and stuff like that, and that's what you see at schools too.
Yeah, I've dealt with both, and I'll be
right.
honest with you. The rubber roofs I've actually had better luck with, actually, dealing with my own or at
Right.
art school. They replaced a lot of rubber with built up, and we've had nothing but leaks and problems. And the problem with
Right.
built up roofs is when you have a leak in a built up roof,
It's
the
hard.
water's dripping down over here, but the leak is way over there.
It follows.
Whereas if you have a rubber roof, the leak is here, it's more than likely the hole is right there. And that's the one thing I kind of like about the rubber roofs as far as.
What we are doing is reducing the number of penetrations. We're taking out the current skylights that are all fogged up. The exhaust fans that were put in after the building was built, because I have a feeling they had problems with exhaust.
Mhm.
So we're taking, if I would guess, maybe 16 penetrations out of the whole project, and utilizing the 4 original ones. But the 4 original ones back in '66 did not have exhaust fans attached. So those will have exhaust fans attached with auxiliary motors to dampen and stuff like that. And then I'll be hooked up with VAS. So I hate penetrations through a brand new roof, and that's why we're trying to reduce that part. And I know there's pros and cons with built up and rubber roofs, and so.
All right. Any other questions? All right, Jim, you wanted to give your comments? You had some comments.
I think most of you know that I'm a member of the Sustainable Sheboygan Task Force. I just want to review a little bit of the history that got us to this point. In 2013, the Sustainable Sheboygan Task Force recommended the placement of solar panels on the municipal service building. I was not a member at that time. But at that time, former Director Beeble indicated that the roof would need replacing in a few years, and that would be the time to do it. The roof replacement and solar panels are then included in the capital improvements program budget for a number of years until the last budget. Then all of a sudden, the solar panels were dropped. The city administrator indicated at the committee of the whole meeting on October 24th that placing solar panels on the roof of the municipal service building was not recommended, as the city was considering a fleet building, municipal fleet building, which would combine the needs of vehicles servicing all in one building. Otherwise, he had indicated that there would need to be some structural work done to help maintain the solar panels on the building, though there was no detail given at that point to what degree that structural work would have to be done. I would say that before we spend $2.1 million on replacing the building, it made sense to me that we should be looking at a fleet building. Now, if we're looking at 30 years down the road, that doesn't make sense. You obviously need to protect the integrity of this building, and the roof on top makes a lot of sense. However, you should consider the intended goal of the city through the creation of the Sustainable Sheboygan Task Force as utilizing this building rooftop for solar panels. This is an ideal location because we have no trees in the area. It's a large expanse. It would save the city a ton of money going solar on our energy bills. And it doesn't make sense to me if that you're going to proceed with this at this point, that you would not incorporate the next necessary structure to have that solar panels put on the building. Cities had 3 opportunities for solar panels. They still have one on the library. I don't know what the structural problems, if there are any, for the library to put them on there. But that would also be an ideal building because there's very little, it's not shaded. Same with the Uptown Social would have been an ideal spot for solar panels. So I would recommend to you that you make sure before any money is allocated that we are able to put solar panels on there. And older persons, I would recommend to you that you inform the city administrator that this is what the city of Sheboygan wants, is solar panels on these buildings. Because my contacts with the city administrator is this is not of importance to him. But as the elected officials for our city, I would ask you to impress that it is an important part of our city's obligation, both to save money and to assist in the environmental problems that we have today, alleviating the environmental problems we have today. Thank you.
I guess.
So I just have a follow-up question. I'm glad Jim is here. Actually, I was actually going to ask about this as well. And he's actually one of my constituents, and we had a little talk actually when I was out walking around getting signatures for my next election. And I guess one of my questions really is, has the city really taken the time to look at getting bids for solar roofs for these? You know, if nothing else, just get the bid and see kind of what the cost would be involved. Back in the day when I lived in the country, I had a 20 kilowatt solar array, and so I understand the return on investment and that it's not, it takes a long time for you to recoup the money that you pay up front. But it might be worthwhile, if nothing else, to provide some sort of transparency to the rest of the city and to the constituents that are really talking about this, to, if nothing else, get a bid so that we can look at it and compare. And if it's you know, if it's prohibitive, then we'll have to make a decision and kind of go more traditionally. But I think it makes a lot of sense to, if nothing else, to try to get these bids so that we can look at that.
So that's already been done.
Okay.
So the groundwork, so about a year ago, I was given from the Sustainability Committee the task from David Beagle at that point in time to go out and look at every every roof for the city of Sheboygan. This roof came back 1.1 million, and for the payback was just right about 17 years.
Mhm.
And at which point now you're sticking money back into the solar panels and you're not gaining anything. The city administrator, I know, was given more of the directive, no, we're not going to be putting solar panels out. The payback is horrible between that and he more explained it, and I do not want to mess up his words. Residential, it's great. Commercial, the payback is very hard for Alliant Energy. The numbers just don't. It's more for Alliant Energy versus the consumer or us trying to make money. And that is loading that entire minus motor vehicle up with 100% solar. And that's still the payback. And the cost out of pocket was 1.1, but still the rate of return was, it just didn't, it didn't look to be, the rate of return wasn't there.
So just so I understand, so 1.1 million, that's in addition to the traditional, so there
Yeah,
would be a
so
traditional
you-
roof underneath,
Right.
so you're talking like over $3 million.
Oh yeah, this would have been well over $3 million.
Does that include the structural to support
No.
the,
So
that would be the structural
we
would
would
be,
probably have to get an engineer in here to look at that portion of it. We're just looking at raw numbers. We're not looking at storing. There would be no storing of energy
Right.
here because that would, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
thing. This would just be more of an on-demand type thing. Do we have the ideal roof? Absolutely. Rate of return, that's a long time. And like I said, at that point, the consultant that we were dealing with is now you're starting to look at replacing. So where are you actually starting to gain at that point in time? The administrator, he knows a little bit more about the number game with Alliant Energy and those numbers. And I do not want to speak on his behalf on that one. So, but he would be a point of contact on that. So.
I have one quick comment, I guess, on it too, is it might be more ideal to look at, like, say, the new fire station, because there you can structurally integrate into the building of the building, and there you have a building that you know for a fact is going to be there for 50, 75 years, whereas this building is kind of looking at this, we're we said we're in 10 years down the road, we may be looking at replacing. Well, if we have solar panels on, now we have that money invested in there. Now, again, we're kind of getting into the weeds with that. That's my opinion. Zach?
As somebody who's installed solar panels myself,
Yeah.
they definitely aren't light by any stretch of the means. And I worry that if we did install them on this building, you'd have to engineer and put pillars in, which would then prohibit trucks moving through the area. And as much as I would love to be like, yep, throw them on, but this building wasn't made for those. I mean, we use cranes to move them in big solar fields. I mean, that's just the nature of it. So.
Just real briefly.
Can I ask, in your estimates, did you include the 30% direct pay that the city would
Yeah,
receive?
so trying to think who we used. We used Arc Electric,
Mhm.
and they gave all the estimates for for that 30% and everything. Because I know there's a lot of like focus on energy monies and stuff like that and grants. That was all added into the what it would cost out of pocket for us. So.
Because in my association with Arch, they do not usually provide that. They say that depends on whether you can get it or not. Then you have to figure that out for yourself.
They gave it as an add. I mean, there's no the options. So.
The other thing is, we do have an example of this for the city. We have the water intake plant that has it. Have we consulted with the engineer there to see how effective that has been?
I have not, no.
I mean, that would, because that project had a payback within 11 to 12 years without the 30% direct pay.
Okay.
And so that was done before the direct pay option was available. And my final comment is, not only do we need to save money, but we also have a moral obligation to do something about climate change. And this would help eliminate a lot of use of fossil fuels if we would do this.
So, in my opinion, with this building, because of the, like I said, the structural issues that Jack mentioned, I think that, and we're at this point now where we don't have another 1.5 million to put into this. Plus, like I said, I think it would be more engineering and everything else.
And
I
then you have
think
to rebuild.
you might be doubling or tripling the cost of this roof. Like I said, I would definitely like us to look at it possibly for the new fire station, because then you can build it into the building. You can build it as part of the structure. You can have it in, like I said, in there we have a building that we know is going to be there for a long time. Whereas this building, we're not quite sure exactly where we're at with this. That would be my
I was add to that comment. I agree. Like with new construction, I think it should automatically be considered.
Yeah.
You know, but with a building that,
In the 60s.
yeah,
There's no-
it's tough.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, it's not.
I
like you
mean,
said,
just
it's-
the structure to hold the panels in itself, the steel structure is not light. You need cranes. You're talking about probably 2 or 3 weeks of cranes up there with electricians who are qualified to actually work on it. And then you have to get an agreement with Alliant Energy on top of
for a
it.
building that we have to replace in however many years,
Yes.
you know, yeah,
Yeah.
but for new construction, I would
Yes.
just definitely encourage.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think we should really look into it for the new fire station. I really think that should be at least, an option. Maybe, I'm not saying we're definitely, but I would think we should be something we should look into for the new fire station. So,
And let's make sure when this goes to council, when it goes, if that gets brought up, I want
Yeah.
to make sure that we vocalize that on the floor.
all righty. Any other discussion on that? Okay, I guess I would be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. That is approved. Number 7, resolution number 152/45, a resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to enter into a contract for comprehensive structural and mechanical condition analysis of most city-owned buildings to aid in future maintenance and proactive future budget planning. I guess back to Mike.
Thank God this is a little cheaper. So looking at this for a complete facility assessment for the roughly $250,000 that it's going to cost. We pulled all the facilities and structures that we have in the city of Sheboygan. We roughly have 147 that we pay insurance on it and stuff like that. So out of that 147, the spreadsheet that I gave you, I listed a bunch of them in black. Fire station, no 3, we're not going to do. We're not going to do, no, the old county building that's torn down already. So some of these facilities we're not going to include in this because it's just, it's not cost prohibitive. The ones you see, I believe in green, we're going to do this kind of in a phase, more of a phase type scenario where we want it's either green or yellow. I don't have my glasses. Green. And the priority, I think, is green. So we're going to get the green ones done first, and then the secondary are more of your park system. This, looking at using Concord, I did a little bit of research prior to us going out for bid and working with Bernie Robber. And Concord always kind of stood out as one of the better consultants out there. And so we did throw this out to bid, and lo and behold, Concord actually did come in better. They do have an ESRI program, which is a very good program. It's based, as a city, we use ESRI. Concord's deliverables on this kind of assessment and their analytics to move forward from day one and then the forecasting out to 10 years. And the availability to manipulate years and structures and budgeting and capital improvement is, it's obviously it's all done digitally, is going to help my team and budgeting and the city administrator budget, for the next 10 years and stuff like that. And this is a program that we can continue to add on for, whether it's decades to come, but we can always add on to the system. This is, I'm excited to get this program going to find out what condition our buildings are in. What this is actually going to look like, it's going to look everything from basically the footings on up to the roof. I'm actually, we asked in it to do carpet, lighting, because we're talking all big budget items. Like for the police department coming up in the next couple of years, I'm looking at flooring, and everybody's, talking with Casey, it's like they wanted just big mechanicals. I said no, because when you start to look at flooring, you're looking at $300,000. That's a big chunk of money.
Yep.
So I want this to be a very in-depth assessment, so we actually know what we have, what we're actually working with, and what we now have to budget for 2026 maybe, and then look at the next 10 years. So what makes me feel real comfortable, the county's also doing a project like this, and the facilities director out there also reached out to me. We talked, and they actually picked Concord also. They were not the cheapest at that for the county, but we kind of compared notes, and what the deliverables and the analytics we got afterwards was kind of top notch, which makes me feel real comfortable that our partners in the county are picked the same consultant.
A couple questions I have. Like when you're talking about like looking into flooring, are they gonna also look at like when you look into flooring, or if say like there's like an older building that has like asbestos flooring, are they gonna say that this is part of the analysis and things like that? Are they gonna look at
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
and also make recommendations as far as if you do A, you might be able to get this much more usage out of this building. You'll extend the life of this building by 20 years or 30 years or whatever. Say this building here.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's so many different parts where you can actually start to manipulate. If we want to fund this first,
Mhm.
it may bump it to the year that you're in, take another one up, but also add on and say the X amount of dollars. So we'll just say 10%, because now you're going to move another project up, or you're going to push another project out. So it will actually push it out and then add on for additional costs for the next year, something like that. Whatever they come up with, whatever formula that is. So it will add on and stuff.
So I just have a question about the process. So this is a consulting firm that comes in and they look at all these buildings. Then there's a program, like a software program that's available. Then once we've got all the information, is that going to be something then that we are going to have to pay service fees for going forward? Or are our staff going to be able to run this software and manipulate it in those ways? Or are we always going to have to go back to this company to?
There's probably going to be a small fee. I don't know that fee. I have not looked at that.
Yeah.
But I think it was under 3,000 a year or something like
Okay.
that. So
it's minimal.
it's minimal.
Okay. And what's Esri or what?
Esri, Kevin,
I don't know.
GIS, graphical mapping.
thank you, sir.
Was this budgeted?
This was not budgeted. So the good thing about this, so talking with Caitlin, so Casey kind of pushed on this and for push for funding. So the funding for this project is actually coming from unused fund balance from previous CIP projects from I think 23 and 22. There's other monies out there. So this is not going to be taken out of it any general. This is just leftover funds from previous CIP projects that are going to fund this program. I mean, I think if they didn't add the bids in here, I had bids from Concord was the lowest, around 248 up to north of 400,000. So I think it's pretty decent.
This is a really good idea. I think
Well,
this to get a handle on what we have,
Yes.
because otherwise you're
We're
hodgepodge.
responding,
All of a sudden we're just responding to emergencies. Oh, this building, the carpeting is just terrible. We didn't know about this 2 years ago. It's
This is a great forecast.
Yes, it's good to have, I think.
what is the, once we go with them, give them the contract, passes council, what's the term, when is this, how long is this gonna take them to complete this?
I don't know, we have not reached out to any of the contractors to find out, but most of them, just trying to think, but they're, a lot of it, I mean, it'll be within 6 months. Most of them were within 1 or 2 weeks of signing contracts, purchase orders and stuff like that, so it was a quick turnaround. To get all the information,
Right, that's what I want.
that could take quite a few months. You're looking at 147 structures, wastewater obviously being the hardest one. But they got, so other consultants we have dealt with in the past, ZS Consulting. So a lot of the contractors or their subs and stuff like that, we've done within the past, so they are familiar with a lot of our structures already.
Could you, when this goes, I'm assuming it's gonna be approved, I'm in favor of this, but, you know, for council, I mean, I guess I would like to ask that question, if we could get, you know, more of
What's a
a
timeline
timeline on this when,
for completion?
right,
At least phase 1, I think. Phase 2 with, so I guess, let me talk with Barney and see what we can come up with
okay,
for next week, Monday.
thank you.
Any other discussions, questions? All right.
Oh, real quick,
Go
I'm sorry, because when I saw it, now I can't find because it's a 352-page document. When do they get paid? After phase 2 at the beginning, how does that work? And does it come out of the 2025? This is coming out of 2025.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm just with the timing question, Mike, what's the motivation? Because that's a lot of buildings.
It's a lot of buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's the park buildings will go the quickest, obviously. That's why we kind of put them in the phase 2 end of it, or the second priority. We want to get our main structures done first. Like I said, I will find out.
Yeah.
I will find out.
That would be interesting.
To see if we can get some kind of timeline and,
Just ballpark. Like, oh, it'll be done in
Thank you.
2045, you know, that would, yeah, okay.
All righty. Any other questions? Okay, looking for a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. That is approved. Thank you. All right, on to number 8. Discussion only, time and location of Public Works Committee meetings. So.
So this came up kind of just in general, hearing conversation and whatnot, because obviously Melja is coming from City Planning Commission, which is at 4 o'clock that Kevin attends. What we were looking to do is maybe bring the time up, maybe to 4:30 or 5 o'clock. It was also looking at that way our staff wouldn't need to stick around as long, fiscally responsive, we're not paying as much overtime, so on and so forth. But it was a matter of the time and if the day still works or if the day needed to change. It was just what would work out for everybody. And also because, you know, we have to admit, in the middle of the summer, do we want to be here at 5:30, 6 o'clock, or do we want to be home, you know, doing what we need to do? So it was just a general item I wanted to bring up, and I know I've talked a little briefly with a couple of you already about that, so.
And when we've had issues with IT, with the breach and things, and with issues, you know, here, we've got at the Plan Commission meeting, Scott is there doing it. So if we do it in council chambers, do it back to back, I mean, it would just, I mean, I think it would be ideal as long as your staff don't mind going over there for the meeting. And I would, the Plan Commission meetings, there's rarely a long one. I mean, it does happen, but I think we can accommodate the different the start times for, you know, if we anticipate, you know, a longer meeting. If we anticipate a meeting that for Public Works that's going to be heavily attended, say we have the Marina project comes to a vote, you know, and we expect a lot of public input there, then we could adjust the time for that to be like at 5 o'clock. So it's after work, people can get there. But I would, to start off with, I guess I would like to see it 4:30 and be as back to back as possible and be able to do it right there in council chambers. As long as it works out with everybody
And that was, that was gonna be the key, as long as it worked out with all the other
Right.
people, your schedules. So.
I'm amicable. I'm flexible.
For us, I mean, for Zach and I, know in the past, 4:30 is a little bit of a tight one. I think 5 o'clock would be a better issue, I think, with us. I think, because I know I've run into that in the past where it's kind of a tight window once in a while. I can go home, get cleaned up, get
I
to
don't
a
have to be
meeting.
clean to be here.
My
So-
issue's mostly when I work 10 hours and I have to drive an hour.
So,
That's my
Yeah.
problem.
So, I would be open to doing it, moving it to 5 o'clock. That would be fine. And as far as the only reason that we've met here, as far as I was always was told, because it was convenient for the staff here. But if it's really not a problem for you guys, I mean, as far as which building we meet in, that doesn't bother me at all, no matter what. So.
Yeah, we can meet at City Hall.
Yeah,
That doesn't bother me.
That doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I do, like I said, the IT issues that you have here with the so many times that we had where we couldn't get it taken because of things for birthday, right? So I'm all for that, as far as that part of it goes, as far as moving it down to City Hall. But I think if we're amicable to that, I think the next meeting we could have at 5 o'clock, and we can have it down at City Hall.
I'm 100% support that. And, you know, as long as that works for everybody, if at some point in time schedules free up and we can move it up further, I mean, I'd be in favor of that too, but I mean, I think that's an improvement. So.
Okay, so that's, no vote on that. That's just whatever. And I agree. As chair of the committee, I'm cool with that, so.
And Travis, that's good with your staff? Everybody?
Whatever you direct me to do.
We do have some regulars that come, like, I don't know, just make sure.
Yes.
It'll be posted.
posted.
And maybe put a sign on the door,
Yeah.
for the first
Yeah,
couple.
And
Yeah,
we'll
just in
also get
case.
it on Public Works website.
Okay.
Facebook,
We
social
had a
media.
larger space,
Oh,
because this gets.
yeah, no, I think they'll appreciate it. I just don't want to give any fuel for that. You know. Mr. Burnett needs to know where to find us.
alrighty, next meeting date will be February 11th at City Hall. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.